think she's dead. I think somebody killed her. And she's dead.
It's tragic. Justice must prevail. Justice must prevail.
If we could just have a body parts, whatever is left of it. And justice should be done.
41-year-old Therese Jacobus was last seen at her home in Eldorado Park, Johannesburg on December 11, 2003. Her family have given up all hope of finding her alive. Therese, a mother of two sons, was a typing teacher here at the Missouri Avenue Secondary School in Eldorado Park. After 2 years, she's still regarded as one of the staff. Her name is still on the list of teachers, absent since January 2004, when she did not report back after the December holidays.
The fact that she was always the same personality. You could never see that she was upset, that she had any problems. She always had a smile on her face. So that's how I know her.
Yeah, she was a loyal friend, you know. You could go to Therese for anything, you know. She was the type of person that would give you her last 20 rand. Okay. And the first few weeks it was very difficult for me because I used to look, you know, at where her car used to park. I can't go up the stairs because her class is there. I avoid that, you know, to go up that way on the stairs because it just reminds me of her.
Therese was someone who was very caring. She was committed and dedicated to her work. I do not believe in under any circumstances she will drop her job just like that and disappear. But the only conclusion that I can draw, or the inference that I can make, is that wherever she is now, that she is dead.
How I long to touch you. Every day I long to hear your voice, see you smile, and smell your perfume in the classroom. But now it seems like you are never here. And the reason why I wrote the poem is because it was shocking to hear that we're never gonna see her ever again. But now you're gone with unanswered questions. I had to express myself and I wrote this poem. I tried to forget, but how could we? I just wish that we could just get her body. And hearts are longing. It makes me never wanna love someone ever again. But now
Therese Goliath was originally from Port Elizabeth. She married her college sweetheart Michael Jacobus in 1988. By the late 1990s, their marriage was in trouble. At the time of her disappearance, she had a protection order against her estranged husband. He lives with his girlfriend in Veltevreden Park, a suburb west of Johannesburg. According to friends, they were finalizing a divorce settlement and had made plans to discuss this over supper on the night she disappeared.
On Tuesday she mentioned that she's going out for supper with Michael on Thursday.
On Thursday, yeah.
Why?
They used to go out on a regular, not regularly, but used to take out. It wasn't abnormal or strange for them going out. So when she told us that they're going out that Thursday evening, it was normal. Yes.
At a judicial inquest into her disappearance, her husband denied that he had supper with her that Thursday. The court heard that he had taken her car for a service and dropped it off the next morning.
And then she still spoke to me about her husband wanting to reconcile with her. And I still asked her how does she feel about it, and then she said she doesn't actually trust him. But she thinks she'll rather go on with the divorce, which was supposed to be in February the next year. So that was our last conversation.
toe sy terugkom, toe was het klaar 4 o'clock. Toe sê ek vir 'n slaap laat ek moet huis toe gaan. Toe sê sy ek kan maar loop, sy gaan bad. En agter die bad, 'n man gaan miskien 5 o'clock kom, dan gaan hulle eet.
She was, I could say, a little bit depressed
from the way she usually is. So I wanted to stay longer with her, but she said that she was okay, I can leave, because I usually sit with her when she's alone. So she said it's okay, I could love her husband is gonna come pick her up for supper. So I left it about 4:30.
Nobody knows whether Therese went out for supper on that night. And if she did, whom she went with. After her mysterious disappearance, traces of blood were found in the boot of her car. And the charred remains of her clothes were found in the backyard. After the break, the mystery deepens. Colleagues became alarmed after Therese failed to show up at the school's matric banquet.
We spoke about the banquet, the fact that the arrangement was that we'll pick Leah and Bernice up, and I'll travel with her, because she still said it's my chance to travel with her now, because the last time they drove with me. The Friday, when I phoned her, I just couldn't get through to her, and I thought it's strange because I just knew that she had to be at home that time, busy getting ready for the banquet.
But this was totally out of character, because Therese was the type of person, if she makes an arrangement with you, she will call you back and say, listen, I can't make it, make other plans. That day it didn't happen. Monday morning, the domestic worker then phoned and said, no, she found, something strange at the house, burnt clothes.
And then I went to the house. Selena showed me a piece of material which looked like a pants of Therese. There was some underwires of bras that was found in the ashes. And we saw pieces of parts of a cell phone and parts of a bag. Then I phoned a brother in Port Elizabeth, Tony, and I told him what I saw.
That's when I became very alarmed. Then he said, Tony, there's something very wrong here at this house. So I said, well, now go to the police and report this. Then they did that. They went to the police and reported this matter.
Her estranged husband, successful businessman Michael Jacobus, was arrested a week later.
It's not uncommon for a charge of murder to be laid without a body. But the state will have to bring evidence to prove, firstly, that she is dead and she died of unnatural causes inflicted by the accused.
Meanwhile, Therese's eldest son waited in vain for a call on his birthday from his mother.
Sy het hom nooit laat weet nie. Dis 'n moeilike storie, man. Hy het gevra, hy sal altyd vra, hoekom bel sy ma hom nie op sy verjaardag dan nie. Sy was almost skakel op sy verjaardag, was hy altyd gedoen, en al die jare het ons sy verjaardag saam vier in Port Elizabeth op 21 December.
Michael claims that Therese had told him that she was taking a lift to East London without the children.
And I made plans, we discussed it, the July when she was in PE. Then we had plans for the December holidays, camping plans.
Why would you take a lift to East London while the car is being serviced to go to PE, and especially not telling anybody?
The Thursday, she didn't once mention anything about East London.
Police searched open fields, rivers and dams south of the city.
Okay, stop!
They came up with nothing.
Yeah, it's fine.
After spending almost 2 months behind bars, bail for Michael Jacobus was set at 1.5 million rand.
It's got definitely something to do with her disappearance, because why? If he was prepared to pay 1.5 million bail, and he's not prepared to even say there's a 10,000 rand reward for anybody who has any knowledge about whereabouts for the mother of his children. Exactly that, what does it tell you?
At the inquest into the alleged death of Therese Jacobus, A magistrate could find no evidence to link anyone to her disappearance. All charges were dropped against her husband. Now friends and family have vowed to find her killer.
Because she was our friend, you know, we were close, and we could see that if nothing was going to be done, that it was just going to die, the case was just going to die. So, and that is why we felt that we needed to get a lawyer on board as well.
I was contacted by the pressure group in El Dorado Park as well as the family of Therese Jacobus, to assist in an inquest to alleged death of Therese Jacobus.
A lot of things were uncovered by the private investigators. A lot of things were followed up by them that were not originally done by the investigating officer.
Fearing that the case could go cold, Theresa's brothers make regular trips from Port Elizabeth to Johannesburg. As they walk into the house, memories come flooding back. Inside, they're greeted with the ominous silence of Theresa's absence. Only Selina Bangwe, Theresa's domestic worker, is home to greet them. In the backyard, Anthony points out a spot where witnesses say they saw two strange men working a day after Therese disappeared.
Shown out where the two guys was basically Saturday morning. So the ground was shoveled around and everything, and there was a hole, and coming down to the bottom, as you can see there, still shows that the hole is there. Yeah, but now what they were doing in the yard, the two guys, we don't know. And who paid them, because if she wasn't here, who paid them for that Saturday, for doing work in the yard?
Where are they now?
The two guys that work in the yard, nobody knows who they are. Nobody knows where they come from or what. All the windows was rolled down. The seats was moved forward. When we got here, the seats was all moved forward. And all to what I can say, when I arrived here, I stopped there, the garage door was open. When you open the boot, you could get a smell of the perfume. The perfume, a certain perfume she uses, that perfume was the same smell in this boot that was in the wardrobe of her perfume.
And all the windows were open. And we just got the smell of this perfume. And I knew it was Theresa's perfume because she just bought it, the perfume. You know. And it was overwhelming. You could smell it from outside of the garage, the smell. And all the windows were open. And we just found it very, very, very strange. Why, you know, all the windows open.
After the break, a bungled case. Lawyer Leon Francis arrives to meet with the rest of the family.
I think it's up to the family to put pressure on the minister's office and on the minister of police, and so to get a new investigating officer appointed to this matter.
During the inquest, it came to light that there was a lot of things that the investigating officer in this matter did not do. The fact that there was the perfume bottle in the house, it was not taken for fingerprint testing. Statements were taken from the witnesses in this matter almost 18 months after Mrs. Jacobus got missing.
No, I was never questioned by the police when she disappeared. I was only questioned by the family members.
And then, when were you actually finally questioned?
Yes, I was questioned in June, July 2005.
And I showed the policeman that, you know, that is the bottle that she bought. And it was half empty. And it was a new bottle because she just bought it. And she was still complaining about, you know, how expensive it was because Benice let her buy this expensive perfume. And there, half of it was gone. And I showed it to the inspector. And but he just looked at it and left it there.
To complicate matters further, police forensics were unable to match blood found in the boot with that of Teresa's.
It seemed like the blood, the mat was only taken after the luminol was sprayed, and it seemed like that damaged the whole blood that was on the carpet.
Luminol does have the property that it may damage the blood sample that you wish to examine further.
Dr. David Klatzo, an independent forensic expert, is also baffled why DNA could not be extracted from the crime scene.
In order to do a DNA test, you need the tiniest fraction of blood. A speck of blood, the size of a pinhead, is enough to do DNA testing. There are so many nooks and crannies in the back of the car that I find it difficult to believe that the police were unable to get any DNA out of the car whatsoever. And I can only put this down to bad handling of the crime scene and bad handling of the evidence.
It seems as if police also failed to get vital evidence as to who dined with Mr. Jacobus on the evening in question.
According to Mr. Jacobus, that his version is that he came to El Radi Park on the Thursday, and then he left around about 7:30, 8:15 to go out with his girlfriend to Melrose Arch that evening. And he spent the night at Melrose Arch that evening until the early hours of Friday morning. The police never went to ask for surveillance tapes at Melrose Arch. I contacted the security company at Melrose Arch, and they said nobody came to them, and at this stage they've already destroyed these tapes. The investigation was never put forward in going to Melrose Arch and showing pictures to the waitresses or the owner of the place in order to establish if Mr. Jacobus was indeed there with Therese Jacobus or with the girlfriend, his alibi of the night. The cell phone records placed him in El Radi Park vicinity in the early hours of the morning. According to Mr. Jacobus itself, he was never in this area, but he came out in cross-examination that they indeed drove to El Radi Park that early hours of the morning. Mr. Jacobus and his girlfriend, and then they turned back to go to Welter Freedom Park, their home.
That is the tower that probably picked up the signal of my sister's husband's cell phone while he was in this area, most probably because that is where she stays, where she used to stay, down the road.
Anthony complains that in the recent case of missing Constable Francis Rasuge, a thorough investigation was launched to find her killer. But for his sister, it seemed there was little effort put in by police to solve the mystery.
There's actually no comparison here. There was excellent work done in as well the Rasuge matter as the Lew Matthews matter. I think that when coming to the Therese Jacobus matter, there was a lot of issue that's outstanding.
So they've done Canada,
Lisa Vetten is a researcher with the Center for the Study of Violence and Reconciliation. She says bungling of cases is common.
We saw cases where crime scenes had not been secured, evidence had been tampered with, not enough of the evidence had been gathered. It was clear sometimes from reading statements that there were further witnesses or potential witnesses. We didn't find statements that had indicated those witnesses had been followed up. We very often saw witnesses had disappeared, they hadn't left correct addresses, they'd gone, there was no means of then following them up. And there were often, I think, just a whole lot of questions about the quality of the DNA analysis, and sometimes questions around whether or not any forensic evidence had been collected at all.
If you were to give me a DNA sample, I could give you a result probably within 48 hours. So it's not that the technique is so long, it's that there's a backlog of a huge number of cases and a limited number of staff to do the cases, because they are losing staff, rather alarmingly.
Police refuse to comment about the obvious mistakes made by their investigators. Teresa's family is determined to find justice, even if it means retesting DNA found in the boot of the car.
If the car is there, and if the car has not been tampered with any more than it was at the time of this, it is perfectly possible to go back to the car and have another look at it. There are a number of laboratories over the world. There's a laboratory in the United Kingdom called Forensic Access, who are extremely good. They are competent, they are good, and they are quick. They could retest it.
I think we need to strengthen our forensic laboratories substantially, both in terms of human personnel that is available there, as well as the kinds of tests and resources that are also available, and what are some of the common factors that are getting in the way of achieving successful convictions and prosecutions.
Determined to find out what happened to Therese, the family also consulted a spirit medium who claims to have made a connection with the alleged deceased.
She actually explained to my wife who was responsible for the murder.
We met Fred Labuskaghni, the husband of spirit medium Sandra, who did not want to appear on camera. Fred drove us to an area south of Johannesburg, where they believe Therese is buried.
She was at the pool area when she was hit from behind and lost consciousness. And by 9:30, it had all been done. It was over. She was murdered, and her body was bisected and buried in 2 different spots. And this is the road that we're on now, going to the place where the torso is buried. Described the trees. In front of the trees there was a patch of mealies which was grown there, but it was not a farm. It was not on a farmland. As we stopped here with my wife and I, and she said, this is exactly the place I want to be. This is where they've shown me, where I got the indication where the place is. We were unable to identify a specific spot over here, but this is the general area where it is.
The family is considering digging up the area, trying to find the body. While hope of finding Therese alive is slowly fading, Anthony Goliath says they've not given up hope of finding justice.
And justice should be done. We also feel it, but most of all what we need is a body, whatever is left of it, so that we can have a proper burial for her.